still got a few more minutes, but the screen is proliferating much more than I'm used to. Hey, our time is here and it's 7:02, and thank you so much. So this is the roundtable for Wasatch Peaks District, and if you happen to not be from Wasatch Peaks District, that's okay, because we are inviting you in as guests. And thank you for coming in. We've already learned that people are zooming in from as far as St. George, maybe further now, who knows? And so thank you for being part of this. If you can, oh my goodness, so we have a winner. Rich, are you really in Illinois?
I am. I'm traveling on business. I'm actually from Provo, so.
Yeah, but Illinois wins. So if I could chat you a candy bar, I would chat you a candy bar. I can't. That's weird. But if it wasn't weird, I'd be right on it. So thanks for tuning in, even on business. Just thinking, oh boy, it's going to be a long one. So this is kind of how I roll. My name is Jonathan Barnes. I am on district staff in the Wasatch Peaks District, and thank you again for joining us for our as a guest to our district roundtable. And we've got some things going here. The first thing I want to do is I want to show a video. So I'm going to show a video, and you can, if you do me a favor and make sure that you are muted. So that's the mute button in the bottom left corner of your screen. And I'll hit this video, which is our Pledge of Allegiance and the oath and the law. If you're willing, because the frame of our camera, I think, is more appropriate. If you're willing, just stay seated and take care of or participate in this opening kind of thing. I think that fits this Zoom environment, and I think it's respectful to have it fit that way.
Those in uniform, please salute. Those who are not, put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Appreciate your participation. We have some announcements for tonight. The first announcement is that 2 days, I think, Saturday the 16th, Real Salt Lake has invited Scouts to come for a reduced price. So that's Real Salt Lake versus the Colorado Rapids. I believe they're selling tickets for $28 instead of their usual $34. When I go to utahscouts.org, the first picture on the moving banner is the advertisement for the Scout Night, and it takes you, if you click on it, to the link where you could buy tickets. And so if you're interested with that, or your family or whoever, that is an option just this upcoming Saturday night. Is Jeremy on the call from Scouts?
Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
I'm going to turn some time to you, if that's all right.
All right. The raise of hands, who out here is in a unit that is already signed up for camp next year? Go ahead and raise your hand, or on the bottom of your screen, click the reaction. Excellent. Plenty of hands up there. Well, for the next minute, I would like to talk about my favorite topic, and that is our camps and their programs. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Hopefully all of you can see this. So we want to help you find your camp in 2022. So the council operates 14 camps out of our 20 camp facilities. This is a quick little map to show you across the state and across the council where you can find one of our camps this next year. So let's dive into it a little quick. So by the raise of hands, has anybody ever been to Camp Thunder Ridge? It's right next door to Bryan Head Ski Resort. We're going to be opening Thunder Ridge this next year for Scout troops. We're also going to be opening Camp Typhy in Sanpete County, just north of Manti, Camp Hunt up on the Bear Lake, and Camp Lowell, just 1 mile south of Yellowstone. So we have 4 exciting camp programs for your unit to choose from if you're a Scouts BSA troop. And for you Cub Scouts out there, listen up. We've got Camp Fife, we've got Camp Kiesel, we've got Camp Tracy, and Camp Mapledale. And for those of you who are not near one of those, starting in St. George and working our way up to Green River, Wyoming, we've got the traveling day camp. So we've got a Cub camp near each of you this next year. So you're asking yourself, where do I go to learn about this, Jonathan? Get out your phone, take a picture, take a screenshot. Here's our website, here's our social media. And if you need my email or phone number, it's right there. Take a picture real quick. Any questions you have about camp, let me know. I'm here for you 24/7. We'll help you guys get signed up for camp.
Anybody have
Jonathan,
any-
thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Hold on before you go. Does anybody have any questions for Jeremy right now? You can type those in the chat. Go ahead. Okay, you can type questions in the chat if you want. And maybe Jeremy, you can hang out for a minute and see
You bet.
if it's easy to answer those, okay?
You guys have a good night.
I
Thanks,
just
Jonathan.
have one thing to say, and that is that I worked 5 years with Traveling Day Camp, and it's an amazing program. And if you have any chance to get involved with that, I really highly encourage it.
All right, very good. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
visited Camp Typhi for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I was very impressed. Very nice place. So I'm excited to hear from units that go there. That's really nice. Okay, again, if you have other questions, you can throw those in the chat. Jeremy, you can monitor the chat for just a few seconds and see if those pop up.
Sounds good. Thank you,
Sorry.
Jonathan.
Hey, Jeremy, I was just wondering if you guys have been interested in maybe changing, and I know this is not Cub Scouts or Scouts, but it is for adult training for the Cubbies, the Kaylee Council training. I'm in Wyoming, and I know that I could get a lot of participation to go to a Kayla's Council, but unfortunately with the date that it's being at the end of August, that's not going to be possible because a lot of the people that I recruit for my packs and the leaders are teachers, and that would be the first week of, or the first month of school starting, and we're not able to get off at that time, even if we if we ask for it, beforehand.
Absolutely.
So is there any way that maybe that date might be able to come into July or if it just move a couple of weeks at the beginning of August, the end of July, something like that?
It's a great suggestion. I will pass that along to the council's training committee. I want you to know that they'll hear that, and hopefully we'll make that accommodation. That'll be great.
So if you're in the Wasatch Peak District, I have good news and I have bad news, okay? The good news is our Klondike for February 11th through the 13th is online, ready to sign up. The bad news is, under our original plan, it's already filled up. We can still put more units in, and I'm glad to discuss getting you into the Klondike with any unit that wants to give me a call or a shoot me an email. No, don't shoot me an email or text. Call me, because it's a little complicated what we have to do. It's going to be a great Klondike. It's a great price, $10 per person if you sign up before January 7th. So I'm going to, in the chat, I will put my name. I'll just chat to everybody. If it doesn't apply to you, just ignore me, because lots of people do. But I'll put my name, my phone number. Does anyone have any questions before I turn it back over to Jonathan?
What were your dates again?
February 11th through the 13th.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Vince.
Thank you.
We occasionally run into those problems that are like, that's awesome, right? So if you need to talk to Vince, he'll let us know how to get a hold of you. I want to make sure that there's a couple of things that are super obvious. And the first thing that I want to make sure is super obvious is how grateful I am that Annalise Smith from the council commissioner world is helping with recordings and some of the technical stuff for this and probably a few other things too that I don't even know about. And also I want to extend the thanks to Tracy Wood, who helps us with our, it helps us is sort of an understatement, but helps us with our Cub Roundtable, and she'll help us with that breakout here in a minute. And it's not lost on me how important that is. Is there any other announcements from any of the professional staff or Wasatch Peaks people?
We have a reminder that the rechartering system opens tomorrow. Make sure your youth protection for all your leaders is current, so you don't have any hiccups when you go through the new system.
At any time tonight, you have feedback for this format of a district offering a roundtable that other districts can peek in on, these council-wide opportunities, and I'd love to hear that. I'd love to pass those along. Alan, did you want to say anything about some of the intent here while we've got everybody together?
Yes, if I may. I'm Alan Karras. I'm the council commissioner. I get to help all of these fine district chairmen, and Jonathan's one of our best, so I thank him. He's the guinea pig here tonight to have the first time we've had a council roundtable. There are a lot of people who don't have the opportunities to attend roundtables, and through my years of scouting, they've been important to me to have knowledge. And our intent is that we're to make life easier for everybody to be able to gain the knowledge that they need. While I'm plugging this, we will put this and have it so it can be, it's being recorded, and you'll be able to go to the council page and go to their YouTube. And I'm not sure how the Facebook world works. Somebody else can explain that. Also in there, we have a bunch of videos for commissioners, but not just the commissioners should be watching those videos on different things that'll help. There's some in there about rechartering. There's some in there about all aspects of scouting, and we're building a video showcase or library that will give us an opportunity for people to learn and to share. And thank you for being here tonight. I'm so excited about this and excited about scouting and where we're headed. Our numbers have been growing all summer long. In fact, last week we added 79 new scouts were registered in the last 7 days. And we've been growing in between 40 and 80 each week. And we really need to put some effort on our Cub Scouts. The COVID really hurt the Cub Scout program, I think the worst of all the programs. Thank you for being here. If you have a question, please reach out to me. I'm on the council website, and I'd be glad to reach out to you.
Nice. So we've had a question. What's the YouTube channel? Annalise, do you know that offhand?
The easiest way to find it is to just go to the council website and click on the little YouTube logo in the top right-hand corner, and it takes you straight there.
Yeah, that's easy. I like it. That's awesome. If you are here for Cubs, I'm talking to you. If you are not here for Cubs, then I'm asking that you not go into a breakout room and that you stay in this general session. Okay, so if you are. Okay, so we have a lot of people here. It's really impressive. So here's what I want you to do. I want to use the chat a little bit. And so if you can make sure you have that chat up. The question I have for you in relation, and we're not necessarily talking completely about this, but the question I have for you that we can all just sort of watch happen. Vince, I love your description, the chat avalanche, right? So we'll watch another chat avalanche happen. I'd like you to give one word or a short phrase that describes the value of scouting for youth. What do they get out of it, right? Or what do you hope that they get out of it? Just one word or a short phrase. So I'm seeing growth and values and friendship, fun, confidence, memories. Yeah, that's awesome. Couple of leadership, ethics. Yeah, I like it. So obviously, based on what we're seeing in the chat, there's a lot of things that we hope that scouting delivers. And one of the things that I want to focus on tonight is how we develop leadership. And there's probably grades here. There's probably, how do you develop some leadership that is maybe more than they would have developed on their own, that'll carry them through their life. And there might be another level of how do you take somebody who's a natural born leader and even improve them beyond that. And so I have a question related to that. And this time I don't necessarily want it in the chat. I'm ready to hear a volunteer. This is like as broad a question as it can be asked, right? How do you develop leadership among the youth in scouting? So who's itching to tell us what you think about how you develop leadership among youth in scouting?
Part of it is to teach them.
Okay, so yeah, David, go ahead.
There's a great program in the scouting videos and stuff like that help you run through a whole course for training your your scout leaders and give them a chance to learn.
Okay.
And then I'll throw a big pitch out for NYLT.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So let's just do this one thing at a time. I see in the chat, Pat Burke says, use the patrol method. Do you have a microphone, Pat? Can you talk to us?
There we go. Yeah, it's obviously one of the methods of scouting is for the adult leadership. You know, the difference between Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts is Boy Scouts, the boys should run the troop. And so the adult leadership has a key part to allow the boys to play their roles and demonstrate leadership. And so emphasizing the patrol method is important. You know, if a scout comes to an adult leader and asks a question, the first thing the adult leader should say, have you asked your patrol leader? And if they have they asked their senior patrol leader? And so that's one of the things we've tried to emphasize in our troop is, you know, the scouts planning events, organizing meals, doing cooking, working on the logistics, in that, you know, we want them to own the program. And I think that's part and parcel to the patrol method and letting them demonstrate leadership and not have adult leaders that are doing the Cub Scout thing. Over.
That's great. Thanks, Pat. So staying on that thread, the patrol method, I want us to start to distinguish, okay, obviously a leader in the patrol can learn leadership. Can a follower in the patrol learn leadership? You kind of mentioned that a little bit, Pat, but maybe someone else has a story or an example of an experience that you had in watching the patrol method work from both or either the patrol leader perspective or a follower watching their leader perspective. Vince, yeah.
So a couple of quick things. First of all, as a camp director, when I saw units who came to camp and they had 40 or 50 youth and the thing ran like a well-oiled machine, 99.999% of the time, it was because they were using the patrol method and youth leadership. And the adults were having a great time while the youth ran the camp. An example, troop, I think it's 202, sponsored by the Elks Lodge up in Bountiful, came to Bear Lake one year, and I was conducting a Scoutmaster training, and I wanted to use them as an example. And I said, how often do you elect patrol leaders? And the Scoutmaster blew me away. He said, we never do, which wasn't the answer I wanted. He said, we only elect assistant patrol leaders. And then they have 6 months of training, and then they automatically become the patrol leader. And so it's a system like that. You can just tell when you see a troop, if they're running the patrol method, the organization is run by the youth and it runs smoothly.
Nice. Rich, did you have your hand up a minute ago, or your virtual hand?
Yeah, I did, but you know what? The comment I was going to make was already covered. That though was a brilliant idea. I have never seen it. The idea of only electing assistant patrol leaders. It creates continuity and also allows a person to know that they are going to be taking a leadership role and have 6 months to train at it. What a brilliant idea.
I thought it was great.
I know. When I was in a troop, we kind of went a little bit crazy, and we made it so that those that could be nominated for patrol leader, well, actually for yeah, basically already had to have their Eagle Scout, right? The expectation is that once you had your Eagle Scout, that puts you in a position to lead. That may not be appropriate for every situation, but it was in the situation we were in. It seemed to work well. Does anybody else have an experience from their past of watching the patrol method work from the perspective of both the boy who's learning to lead, but also the boys that are watching and following?
I do. If you can hear me.
Yeah, I can. Are you Tanner?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, go ahead. Where are you calling from, by the way?
From Riverdale. We're from the Riverdale Club.
Nice.
So one of the experiences that we had is in our own troop. We're only about a year old. We have 2 Eagle Scouts that wanted to keep going in scouting, even though they've gotten their Eagle. And we used them as at first senior patrol leaders, like they were elected in as senior patrol leaders, and then later on we decided after like they're done being senior patrol leaders that we were going to have them be troop guides, and so that way their experience, they knew what they're doing. They're giving other scouts opportunities to be senior patrol leaders and assistant senior patrol leaders, but still be able to help them. We'd have scouts go to them for questions. We'd have things like that, or teach the troop guide. We would teach the troop guide, and then the troop guide would teach the other scouts and so on, do the responsibilities that they have. And so a troop guide is someone that's been awesome to have in the troop, which I didn't know about until I went through Wood Badge. And so learning about the troop guide and what they can do for the troop it's awesome what they can do. So
that's great. Thanks so much, Tanner. Other experiences that you've had, or let's expand it a little bit. Is there secret sauce to teaching the patrol leader how to be its patrol leader?
Yes, Jonathan, this is Gary.
Sir. Yeah.
The proper use of the Patrol Leaders Council. In other words, it's an opportunity for a scoutmaster at an appropriate time within that council to give training to these patrol leaders so that they can be the example for others to follow. And maybe the senior patrol leader even gives that training. But it's the proper use and the continued use on a monthly basis of the Patrol Leaders Council, and also the annual planning event where you have hopefully an overnighter where the scoutmaster or other leaders, boy leaders, etc., can offer training at that event, say on a Friday night, and then do the planning on Saturday.
Okay, that's a great suggestion, right? So there's 2 pieces there, and I want to make sure to give both of them some moment of time. The first one is a Patrol Leaders Council, right? So someone else who's had success with the Patrol Leaders Council, tell us what you do, how you run that. Dane, you got your virtual hand up.
I was just going to comment a little bit about one of our old Jamboree Scoutmasters. I used to laugh when I'd see him all the time because he always had this sign on the side of his hat that said, "I don't know, ask your patrol leader." And anytime there wasn't blood involved, if anybody asked him a question, one of these boys asked him a question, he wouldn't answer it. He'd say, talk to your patrol leader. You know, it's a way to force it down to the level it ought to be at.
That's cool. Yeah, that's for sure. Nice. Other suggestions on using the Patrol Leader Council?
I think somebody's already said plan.
Yeah, so that was the second half of, I think it was Gary, right? That was the second half of his suggestion, is that annual planning. And I agree with that. And, you know, it can come in many forms, but having the youth obviously an integrated a part of that planning, running the planning, being the piece there, right? So I'll ask a second question related to that piece. What's the secret sauce in the annual planning? Who's had success with that? Alan, did you say yeah?
Yes. So one of the things that many times scouts do is they want to reinvent the wheel. And I'm a big proponent of the program guides and the system that is the 48 emphasis of areas and the planning pre-planned. Some of the plan of the things that are pre-planned in the in that booklet. That's actually 3 books that come. And if it gives you an outline of where you're going, it helps new scouts with the program guides. It gives them some suggestions. It has the new ones have the 3 levels of difficulty that they can achieve. So if you've got a patrol or a troop that is very young and they need to be not to have a great big deal to do, they need to be more babyish, in other words, not experienced. But then if you've got in a patrol that is really experienced, there's some things there. And if you use that template to do your planning it helps, it forces you, if you follow the program plan that's in there or the ideas that are there, that forces everybody to go to the plan and have a part in the plan and how the plan is done. And so we talk about that many times, but the Boy Scouts have come up with the program guides and put them together in a way that you can use that to teach the scouts and have many subjects. So when I would do a planning deal, I would say, Johnny, what do you like to do? I like to ski. Well, we can do that. And then you'd go down to the 48 programs, find it. And if it wasn't on there, we would actually take a template and make our 50th or 48th or 49th or 50th item and use that as a planning guide. So don't reinvent the wheel. Use the wheel that's right there that's really slick and good.
Nice.
Jonathan, another comment about the annual planning conference is preparation. Too many adults will come to that, not meeting with anyone else, and come to it and throw out a bunch of ideas. Part of the democracy that we try to train our boys in is representing the group. And each of those patrol leaders should have a time with their patrol to find out what that patrol wants to do, and then bring that information representing them to the annual planning conference, where they will throw out those ideas, and hopefully they're in those resources that was just spoken of. But second of all, a good scoutmaster will be meeting with the senior patrol leader prior to the annual planning conference and reviewing all of the different calendars and cluing that senior patrol leader in to what his role will be and how he will conduct it and how he's going to bring about the agenda and plan the agenda. So preparation with that senior patrol leader is critical prior to the annual planning conference.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Rich?
You know, all of these are really good ideas. One of the things that I do want to kind of emphasize, and I, like Alan, used the planning guides extensively, but you know, you've got a really wide road that you can weave in and out of while you're out there looking for things to do and how you want to approach it. And Alan kind of alluded to that with respect to the different levels of experience. The important thing that I found, and it goes along with Gary's comment, is that the youth need to be directly involved and feel that they truly had a voice in the building of that plan. That way they own that plan. I know that personally, and now it's an annual plan, and 6 months down the road, one time, you know, the senior patrol leader kind of complained to me. He didn't like what we were doing and stuff like that. And I said, well, you know, your past senior patrol leader and your past patrol leaders came up with this plan. Do you want to support that? Would you like to be supported when you come up with a plan? And he kind of went, huh, yeah. You know, and it was a way of teaching leadership and understanding that you kind of have to work with the other guys when they are leaders.
Thanks, Rich. And that takes me to the next kind of place that I want to go. And I wholeheartedly support Patrol Leader Council and annual planning as a tool that helps guide this leadership training. So, but this next little piece is an interaction piece. I have a question. What kinds of behaviors on the part of, say, a Scoutmaster help lift leadership skills in youth, right? So I'll ask that again. What kind of behaviors from a Scout or from an adult leader's perspective positively lift leadership skills in youth? Let's do that in the chat. If you can just throw a chat out there and say, hey, here is a behavior that I as an adult can have that will enhance or build leadership skills in youth. So while other people are typing, I see the first one there is to listen. Man, how important is that, right? To be a safe place for not students, that's my daytime life, for Scouts or even Cubs, I suppose, too, to be able to, right? They just need to be able to turn to you and not feel afraid to tell you things, right? That your interaction, you just don't want them to read you in such a way that they think to themselves, okay, I can't trust that person. So I've got to go through a few of these. You guys are very fast typers. Patient, supporting different ideas, right? Value other thoughts. Dane, how do you do that?
I think, it's just acknowledging the value in that thought they expressed and talking about it, bringing them involved in the conversation, just respond back to them so that they know you just didn't blow right by you,
Yeah, if I had to kind of think a skill of 2021 that we need, it's maybe that. And I mean, not trying to intend anything with that, but our 13, 14-year-old youth, they're watching us, and teaching them now how to be respectful of other people's thoughts and feelings and opinions might be really important, right? It might change the future. It's still difficult how you, other than to tell them, how do you model that? How do you exemplify that, right? I don't know if you want to say anything more, Dane. I kind of interrupted you.
Yeah, just example, just by example. If you're doing it, they'll understand that that's part of the process they have to employ too when they're dealing with friends or even outside of scouting, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. So, Layla, I may have said your name wrong. Delegate. That's what you said.
Important. There it goes.
There you are.
Actually, Don said that, so he can tell you what delegate. I mean, I know what delegate means. It means don't micromanage the boys. Just let them give an assignment and let them go for it,
and have them report back.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So trust them to do stuff that might sound scary to trust them to do, right? I mean, I guess the worst thing that happens is dinner's burnt. I mean, really, in some of those cases. Okay.
Yep.
I'm looking, Dave Thomas, you said don't override what they do if you don't agree with it. Where are you, Dave?
You don't have leaders if you only support them when they're doing what you want. The time's going to come when they make some decision that you're very, very much against. And if that's when you stop supporting them, then you really weren't supporting them. Now, this just happened in our troop.
Tell us about it. I'm super interested.
We were asked to retire a number of American flags. And so we took that decision to the boys. Do you want to retire 20 American flags? Now, they've never turned down a service project or anything like that before. but they talked about this for 3 weeks. And then they said, we've seen all these terrible people on TV burning American flags. We've seen terrorists and rioters burning American flags, and we would not feel good burning an American flag. We don't want to do it. Well, I thought, gee, I need to get somebody from the VFW. We need to go in there. We need to talk
You gotta
with
fix them, right? Fix it.
what this means and get them to change their minds. And then after a little while, I thought, no, we're a boy-led troop. That's their decision. And so I went back to the person that asked us, and I said, I'm sorry, you'll have to find someone else. And I explained to him why, and he said that was fine, and he respected us for letting the boys make the decision.
You know, that's a great story. That, you know, the kids have stresses that we don't understand, and they're reading the room different than we are. And not only was that them letting them lead, but it also may have been kind of sensitive to their psychological moment. Does that make sense? So I'm appreciative of that. Actually, that's really cool. Thank you for that comment. Fire Tablet, I don't know what your real name is, but you're talking about compliments, right? Praising people. I don't know if you have a microphone and you can expound a little bit.
Yes, I am.
All right.
It should be Alvin.
Alvin.
Yeah, you know, every time you praise the voice does something good, praise him for it. It makes it, even us as adults, when we're thanked for doing something, it makes us feel good. Particularly when a boy will come to you and say, thank you. We got to do the same thing for them.
Nice. Don, you've got your hand up, or did?
I do. Failure is an option, and sometimes failure can be a very, very important learning lesson.
Yeah, well, and for most circumstances we put our youth in, it's relatively low stakes, so we may as well get everything we can out of it. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
As long as it's not a safety issue. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What do we do next time to make it work?
Yeah, or even worse, Don, tell me if you disagree, but even worse, maybe at the end, the kids thought it was just fine, and it was only us that didn't think it worked, right?
That's also a possibility.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, you said consistency. I was wondering if you could kind of talk a little bit more about that for a second.
Well, yeah, I think you kind of alluded to this at the beginning. We are trying to model our behavior so that the boys can learn from our behavior. So we need to be, among other things, consistent in the way we treat others, other leaders, the scouts themselves, parents, everybody. We need to be consistent in how we deal with people. No, don't play favorites. Just and kind of be consistent in the way we act and behave, so that they can understand that part of being a leader is acting consistently.
And that probably includes being consistent across time as well, right? So that one particular boy or eyes that are watching us don't see change, right? They can form patterns. They can see that those patterns are successful for us and might be for them as well.
Yep.
All right, perfect. And you know, this ties a little bit to one of the things that Roger mentioned with consistency. I think helps in an equity mindset too, right? To be able to talk to all people equally and help them feel the value that they all have, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Robert, you're talking about George Washington, right? I'm looking for the quote.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe you can expound a little bit.
You know, even in leadership today, you know, in the business world, right? A lot of
managers have the tendency to want to just blame, point blame. But, even in troops, I've watched time and time again, you ask a boy, empower a boy to do something, and he will fully do it the very best way he knows how, based on what vision he has of that. And they've got to have a point of reference. They always do. And it's important for us not to point a finger of blame, but just to realize where they're at and where they need to be, and just keep helping them progress.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Pam, you are so right. We are teaching girls to lead just as well too, right? There's no difference between any of our kids. They're all just as eligible to learn that leadership too. All right. So, the kind of the way we're looking at this is like there's all these to-dos and there's all these don't do's and that kind of stuff. And I think it is good to go back and say it's sort of hard to do it wrong as long as we're doing something. And so I want to make sure, we've talked a lot about very, very almost scout technical things. And I don't want what I say to make it sound like these things aren't important. Patrol Leaders Council is very important. Managing patrols is so important. Having an annual conference is so important. All of those things are really important. And I acknowledge that. But I do want to mention that there is a possibility that among the sea of squares here, there might be somebody that said, okay, I did not actually have a very good annual conference last year. Do I really belong here? Or, we're just trying to get a few kids out to scouts and they're coming and they're there. And I just haven't had the consistency to form a true patrol or at least right now. And COVID's made it hard. If I'm saying that stuff and maybe no one is hearing and saying that's me, maybe everyone is here. My life's perfect. All these scout things are perfect in my life. That's awesome. But if by chance somebody can hear me and says, oh, wait, that's me, then can I just ask that you just understand that we appreciate everything you do bring, and we appreciate your willingness to work with the kids. And maybe this year you'll do one more thing, right? That takes that to the true youth-led troop of sort of, I gotta be honest, there's probably the fantasy youth-led troop out there that maybe some of us think we're running. And then there's the fantasy that we all want to be running. And then there's probably a host of people here that are doing pretty good. There might be a bunch of people here that think that you're terrible at it. And if I were to look at it, I would say that's better than I've ever done. Not that I'm anybody any good or anything like that. But what I want to encourage is that if what you're hearing is, oh, this is out of my league, I'm bringing it right back to your league. We're right there, right? We're right there, and just doing a little bit better tomorrow is all that we care about. And the kids appreciate every minute, even when they're not perfect. Dave Hatch, did you want to say something?
I think one of the key things is to make sure you have consistent Scoutmaster interviews. We're talking about multiple leadership, not just patrol leaders. You've got your, scribes and outdoor ethics guides and all that stuff that's all involved in leadership in the troop. And to be able to talk to the youth about those leadership skills and stuff like that, I think it makes it very important. Anyways, I think that's one thing that's of value to scout leaders is to make sure that we have those interviews with them so that they can plan their lives and work towards something rather than think they're just out on their own.
That's right. And of course, those interviews can range from a very formal thing to the kid being interviewed and has no idea that they just had a Scoutmaster interview, right? They just had a chat, and it was an amazing chat that took 5 minutes, and that's awesome, right? Buoyed them up for their day. And there we go. sometimes we run into situations where we want to spend extra attention and help develop that youth leadership. So I'm talking about some of these other events they were mentioned here, the ILST, is that or the new leader youth training, those kinds of events and circumstances. They're an option and available. Does anybody have experience, particularly interesting experience, sending youth to one of those events?
I can tell you one thing. I was in JLT, did JLT for a number of years, and then went to the National Youth Leadership Training. And it was awesome to really see a troop work. And I saw young men change their lives based on what was happening. We had an 18-year-old young man that was preparing to go on a mission, and for the LDS folks, that's a big thing. But
yeah,
we had some problems, and he told us to be quiet as leaders. He'd take care of it.
All right.
And I never saw. I mean, I saw the young men that he worked with, and he changed their lives. And he set a great example for them. It was neat to see 13-year-old boys looking up to this older scout and recognizing his leadership and what he could do. And so that kind of got me going on it. And I've seen it every time I've ever participated in those programs.
Nice. Alvin, did I say your name right?
Yeah, you got me right.
Nice.
Somebody mentioned NYLTs a few times. That's a very good course, because it's the same thing as we as adult leaders have in Wood Badge, right?
Mhm.
But there's one thing we forget to mention that a lot of people may not know about, is that NAIL, the National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience. That's held, I know they have it down at Philmont, five times down there. Plus, I'm sure they have it back at the summit if you want to go back there. But that's good training, because there's also training that we have as adults, Wood Badge training.
Right.
It's the PLC. It isn't the Patrol Leaders Council, though.
Very good.
It's the Philmont Leadership Training. Now, both of these courses down there at Philmont have it so you can experience what you learn in your NYLT or in Wood Badge back in the backcountry of Philmont. And the boys I've talked to that have been down to that have really been happy about what their experience was down there.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Dave?
I can't comment on what happens at NYLT because we sent the scouts and we didn't send me, but they came back stoked. The scouts that were there were more enthusiastic about being scouts than they had been before, and they were pretty hot before.
Nice. That's a great endorsement. Thank you. Gary?
Well, like David said, I've been involved with JLT for over 10 years in another council in the Pacific Northwest. And there's nothing finer, nothing better in scouting than to work with these young men year after year, and especially when they get on staff. And that is when the boy really learns, is when they're on staff. The sad thing is to send one of those learners back home and their scoutmaster hasn't been trained. And that young man who's all stoked, as Dave said, gets unstoked real fast when the leaders take over because they haven't been trained.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Pat?
Hey, yeah, another strong endorsement for NYLT. We sent a couple scouts and they came back also very stoked. One wasn't as involved in the past, and now they're just on fire. I didn't attend that particular, program, but it sounds very similar to an old program called Brown C22, which goes back to, Baden Powell's original, camp had the opportunities to scout in Ohio, and I really, it was scouting on steroids and learning the patrol method. We had talked a little about, not only leadership, but also followership. And so one of the things in Brown C22 is the scouts rotate different positions. And so they learn just as much what it is to be a follower. And sometimes you may not have such a great leader. And, but that week was really just a cauldron of competition and really just, left a lot of folks on fire. And I always like that old quote by MacArthur: "On the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days and other fields will bear the fruits of victory."
Yeah.
And so that one of the key pieces of Brown C22 was that competition, among, really to bring that leadership, pluses and minuses, lessons all into light. But anyway, I really enjoyed the Brown C22 concept.
Yeah, nice. And one thread that's here is that, I've heard multiple times we sent a youth and they went and then they came back on fire. And it's interesting to me that I note that in all of these cases where things went really well, we weren't there. And so maybe there's a lesson, right? Maybe there's like a personal kind of, I don't know, maybe an overall disappointment, but maybe it's sort of a thing to remember that the kids can do well, maybe with a little bit less of us while we're watching, Stuart?
I'm just going to say amen to what's been said about NYLT and NAIL. I've had the opportunity in past years to work with kids who have, I worked on NYLT for a number of years, then worked with kids who went to NAIL and came back from NAIL. And I've been really impressed with how much they grow as they have these experiences of leadership and that those programs give out. So just amen to all that's been said.
Nice. Thank you so much. Roger.
That I'm on the committee for Troop 1481 here in the Ogden area. And we sent a young man to the course. He has, some moderate disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And he has come back and he has bred life into our troop and our unit like I have never seen happen before. Whoever the leaders, the workers were on that course, they worked a miracle because his life literally was changed.
Yeah.
Not just in the leadership aspects, but in his family, in his background. And for the first time, he told us, he said, "Gee, that was so neat. Now I've got something to look forward to." That whoever the leadership was, thank you for changing the life of a scout who has a disability.
The leadership's not here. It was the young people. I know they have co-ed courses and so forth for NYLT, and it was their patrols that made the difference.
Roger, I think, thank you. Roger, I wanted to pick up on an interesting thing there. When the youth come back from one of these leadership training kinds of circumstances, and more power to them when they come back ready to engage in scouting. But there's also the benefit that I think it's not bad for us to connect, that they can take that leadership to school. They can take that leadership to their family. They can take that leadership to the future that they envision themselves in the civic community, right? And I think we're only tapping half the potential or a part of the potential if we just think to ourselves, man, these guys are great scouting. Look what they'll do for our patrol, right? Or our troop or whatever. I think verbally and intentionally helping them connect it outside of scouting is a good step. That's my opinion, right? The opinions expressed by me don't represent those of institutions or sponsoring entities, but that's kind of the idea there. Thanks so much, Roger. Joe?
Yep, there we go. Yeah, so it'd be great to know, Roger, which week he went. Do you know, was it this summer?
Yes, he was up there this summer as part of the course.
Do you know which camp you went to?
I'm not right sure.
Okay, I'm just curious. So my name's Joe Devereaux. I'm the council coordinator for NYLT, so I have a lot to say about NYLT. It's awesome. Yeah, absolutely everything that's been said is correct, and we'd love to have more youth come. And if there's any adults here that want to come, I threw the email address in the chat there. We'd love to have some more adults involved, especially scoutmasters and assistant scoutmasters, and so that you know what training they're getting, and then you can help them when they get back. So we'd love to have your assistant there too.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Yep.
Any last comments about developing leadership among youth in scouting?
Did we talk about the Order of the Arrow? The Order of the Arrow has some leadership training.
Do a lot too, yes.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned it tonight.
Yeah, I'm not in the Order of the Arrow, so I don't know what the training is, but I know I've seen a number of places where they've got training going on for their youth that are involved with the Order of the Arrow. So I was hoping somebody else could pop up and say, yeah, this is what's going on.
Yeah. All right. Well, is there a leadership from the OA here?
I'm former leadership. I could say a word. I don't know if there's anyone on the council or chapter level, but Order of the Arrow is a fantastic opportunity. I usually tell people that Order of the Arrow is the honor society of the Boy Scouts. It's a great way to keep particularly older scouts that are maybe getting tired of working on advancements and merit badges involved. I usually tell people that Order of the Arrow is a focus on leadership, camping, service, and scouting traditions. One of the things that I think makes Order of the Arrow really unique and exciting is that unlike many organizations where the organization chooses its membership, to be in the Order of the Arrow, the membership in Order of the Arrow is chosen by people who aren't members of the Order of the Arrow. That is, each scout troop has the opportunity once a year to elect members from their troop to receive that honor and privilege of being part of the Order of the Arrow. And so if you think that's something that if you've got older scouts that would be interested in just having other opportunities for camping or leadership training, it really is a great thing. Typically the way it works is representatives for the Order of the Arrow would come and visit your troop and host an election. Once a person is elected, they have 1 year to complete their membership by participating in what used to be known as the ordeal. It's now known as an induction. It's an overnight campout with a focus on self-discipline and service. And it's a really great experience. Once a person has completed their induction, they then have a lifetime membership in the Order of the Arrow, and it's really great. And for those of you who are leaders who are interested in serving within the Order of the Arrow, there are opportunities for adults to join, and the process is a little bit different. Not seeing anyone else from the council level here, I'll just put my information in the chat.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, so there was AJ from Troop 410, or excuse me, AJ
and I'll
from
get you in
Troop
touch
410.
with people who can do that.
Okay, very good. So apparently there's an OA chapter event this Friday, Saturday. You can email Benji or whatever. Jeffrey, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. I brought up thinking about to answer this question directly, and then leading back, some of the things that I found were particularly effective as getting leadership developed in the boys was the meeting after the meeting. Where most of our other planning things, we're planning for future events, but after a troop meeting to sit down with our troop and patrol leaders and say, okay, what worked, what didn't. It's something that just happened, so it was effective. They remembered it. It was immediate. It just happened, and it worked extremely well to develop leadership with those boys. Another comment about the Order of the Arrow. One thing that worked, when it worked well, it worked very well, was to have our chapter chief be part of the district committee, and to have a youth member on that district committee for planning and events that involve the youth they were a great resource that we could use. We don't have to ask them and get their input.
That's a fantastic idea.
It worked. If you got a good chapter chief, it's amazing how well it works.
Very good. Nice.
Yeah. Hi, Neil Anderson here.
Okay.
I'm with OA, and we have kind of a 1-week version of NYLT every year, and the next one, it's on the council website, and it's in June 27th at Maple Dell.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Doug.
Yeah, I just, I know we're probably drawing close to time here, and I wanted to get this question out before we do. This has been extremely impressive to me. These are great ideas. We mentioned early on that this session is being recorded and it's going to be available on the council YouTube library. I'm wondering if anybody that's familiar with that, because I haven't actually been out there yet, any idea how long it's going to take before this recording is actually there and available for people to view? Because I want to get the word out to all the units in our district that couldn't attend tonight that they would be well served to just bring this up and listen to some of these great ideas about developing leadership skills.
Very good. Annalise, you're the expert, right? So not to put you on the spot.
I hope to have it ready to be put up on YouTube by the end of the weekend.
Okay, very good.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that she's willing to do that. I'm not a technical dummy, but apparently maybe I am. I don't know. Either way. So thank you so much for that. Don?
Backing up 2 steps with the Order of the Arrow that week long. I attended one a couple years ago and know people on staff, youth and adults. It's sort of an Order of the Arrow, NYLT, and Wood Badge combined. Mm-hmm. Only the youth and the adults are there. Tanner, I didn't see him on, and Ed, I didn't see him on because they're both very involved in it. And the other thing, with the review, the meeting after the meeting, our unit, after they have the major activities, we do stop, start, continue. Okay. What didn't work well? What do we need to keep doing the way that we do it? And what can we try next time to maybe make it better?
Very good. Thank you so much. And I appreciate that feedback. So I'm going to take you real quick in the last couple of minutes here to just imagine that a day that's not very much like today, one where the sun is super hot, and maybe you're hiking the slot canyons of southern Utah, and so there I am, kind of hiking the with some kids there, and in these slot canyons we come upon a family that, it was a mom and a kid that were too high to get down from kind of a ledge that kind of, if you've been down there, it was Peekaboo Gulch or Spooky Gulch or something like that. Fantastic place to take scouts, I think. Maybe not a fantastic place to just take your kid if you don't have water and stuff like that. So this mom is sitting there and she's got 2 kids that can't get down. And we round the corner and there's a situation, and before I even have time to manage the situation, because of course I got to be the hero, the kids were after it, right? They bolted into action. They formed kind of a little human ladder that the family that this mom and her 2 kids could climb down. They shared some water. They just did a bunch of stuff, and I didn't even have time to heroically intervene. They just did it. And I want to talk about the notion of leadership in terms of thinking, in terms of knowing when it's time to act, and supporting that kind of thing. And I was super impressed with the kids. I had a small unit. I mean, we didn't have 5 patrols. We had 1 patrol, and the 1 patrol had like 4 youth that were there. And I think the thing that I'm trying to say is that modeling those skills, right? And I'm not talking just about, hey, let's go through these formal practices, but just the habits of mind that it takes to influence people for the better, to make other people's circumstances an improved set of circumstances. In this case, maybe even save the life of this family because they had no water. They were out in the middle of nowhere and they couldn't get down from a rock. And here these 12 and 13-year-olds were hopping down with them and figuring it out and sharing their water and giving them directions to get out. Thank you so much for attending to Leadership Skills for the Youth. Thanks for coming to our Wasatch Peaks Roundtable, right? And kind of popping in, and hopefully it was a good experience for you to just be more than a fly on the wall for our roundtable, and it certainly did enhance our experience as well. I hope to meet y'all in person at some point in the future, and thanks so much. I don't know how to end Zoom meetings peacefully, but there we go, right? I'll let you have your Thursday evening back, okay? Thank you.
Be prepared.